New beginnings, Gen X, Y, Z, and the three C's. Happy 2022 gives me so much happiness to wish everyone the very best for the new year and kickstart the Ordinary Maverick podcast series for 2022. Nearly 21 months into the pandemic, and I'm into my 16th month into the podcast. What a fantastic journey it has been. Never imagined having my own podcast, and it just goes to show that it's never too late to start something. That's the feeling I have as we step into a new year. And I hope I share this with all fellow Mavericks out there. As I woke up on New Year's Day, I just took some extra moments in bed, lying down, watching the skyline from my home, and just taking in the moment. There's just something about New Year mornings. Over the years, as I have grown older, New Year's Eve and New Year mornings have also changed. Shall I say? Dramatically. I remember those crazy New Year celebrations when we never got home until after breakfast. I mean, we stayed out all night, partied, danced like there was no tomorrow, and still had the stamina to have breakfast at some fancy place only to get home by mid morning. And then that transition into just partying and dancing, but getting home in the early hours of the morning and having breakfast at home. Then the next stage, where we started getting home very soon after the clock struck midnight, and now we are just spending New Year's Eve at home. Or with very close friends, reminiscing about the years gone by and wishing well for the coming year. And of course, somewhere in between, we had the children oriented New Year celebrations. I still distinctly recall the year that we brought in the New Year with our two little girls sitting in McDonald's eating a happy meal. Yes, we were surrounded by young families, and at the stroke of midnight, McDonald's switched the lights on and off, and there was lots of cheering and greetings. And our little ones were super excited to be out the slate, and of course, delighted to have their favorite meals with the toys, of course. Perhaps many of you relate to this, but we had to get the happy meal, not so much for the burger, but more so for the toy that came with it. We literally collected the entire set, as McDonald's used to release these set of toys with a theme related to some movie, like the Disney princesses or something. Gosh, all that I know was that we were left eating the meal and putting on the kilos or pounds. Of course, privilege of being able to do so is something we remain grateful for. That's another thing we have tried doing over the years, gifting meals rather than giving off money. My wife used to travel for work via the local metro early on in her career, and each day at the station, she would meet a young boy, possibly in his teens, and it became a routine of sorts. My wife would get him breakfast from the station's canteen, some bread, butter, tea, and whatever else was available, like eggs or something. Oftentimes, all one needs is a hot meal to kickstart the day. So here's to new beginnings. I'm sure for many it is a new beginning in so many different ways, particularly professionally. Did you all read about it? While 2020 was the year when the office went virtual and workplaces in the true sense changed dramatically with people connecting from any place in the world, 2021 will be known as the year of the Great Resignation. Did you know that a record 4.4 million people have resigned by September in the US, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics? The American psychologist Anthony Klotz has called it the Great Resignation, a call to remap priorities in the work-life equation. It's also being called the Great Quit. It's an economic trend in which employees voluntarily resign from their jobs en masse, which began in early 2021, primarily in the United States. It's quite a paradox actually, as a high rate of resignation is coming at a time of high unemployment and labor shortages. This time around, the trigger is COVID-19. The pandemic provided the opportunity for people to rethink their careers, long-term goals, work-life balance, and employment conditions. In some ways, to reset. Evidence is showing that some of the key reasons behind this great resignation is the fact that many want the freedom and flexibility to work from home, that work life balance is gaining in importance and taking center stage in career decisions. This exodus is being driven by the millennials or Gen Y, that is, people born between 1981 and 1996, and the Gen Z or the Zoomers, that is, people born in the late 90s until 2010 or so. So, just succeeding the Gen Y. These are most likely to be dissatisfied with their work, and at least half of them surveyed said that they were looking to change jobs in the next year or so. Some interesting characteristics of Gen Y or millennials include the intuitive knowledge of technology, being open and adaptive to change, valuing meaningful motivation, having a passion for learning and challenging the hierarchy status quo, to name a few. And for Gen Z or the Zoomers, well, this generation values individual expression and avoids labels. They are a generation in search of truth. They mobilize themselves for a variety of causes and believe in engaging in dialogue to solve conflicts and improve the world. And most importantly, they make decisions in a highly analytical and pragmatic way. I should know that, right? Both my girls belong to the Gen Z, and I've had first hand experience of these characteristics. I'm continuously amazed at how well prepared they are in their arguments and express their point of view after putting in hours of good prep work. And let me tell you, I rarely win. But this pride in losing the argument, or shall I say, bowing out gracefully as a father, especially when the prep is so good and the focus is on doing the right thing. We are constantly having new initiatives in our home. Having two young Zoomers growing up, whether it's starting a library to help spread joy of reading and make books available to more, taking up the cause of stray dogs, volunteering at the local animal shelter, and even giving the street stray dog a bath at our home as he must be feeling quite dirty and needs one. There was never a dull moment, I have to say. But would I change anything? Absolutely not. Best thing to being a Gen Z yourself is to father one. And I have loved seeing them both come into their own and continually strive for the truth per se, which is a key core characteristic of Gen Z. Well, you can see why these two generations put together are driving the Great Resignation. And I was reading something interesting the other day. The Great Resignation is turning into the Great Reshuffle. For the first time, we are seeing millions of people reconfiguring their career, reevaluating what they want from life, figuring out their work arrangements, finding jobs and careers that are more aligned to their values, better pay, and more flexibility. We are also seeing a lot of career shifts. Highly skilled workers are moving out of their so called traditional jobs and doing what works and feels right for them. So we are seeing workers shuffling around the market. This is a new phenomenon. Workers are in control. They are moving around, finding the right fit, fine tuning and making deliberate, well thought out choices for their careers and work life going forward. What this means is that work is fitting into lives rather than squeezing life into work. Quite profound, right? Klotz calls these the pandemic epiphanies that have helped many people find more of what they want out of work. I've had, first-hand experience right here in our home. My wife is doing just the same, and our dinner table conversations over the last months have been thought-provoking to say the very least. We are excited about the next phase of our life and what it will bring. More on that in the next episodes. But let me tell you, all of this reminds me of the time when I resigned and started off anew almost 19 years back. I'm not a Gen Y or a Gen Z, but yes, Gen X and Gen Xers are known for the value and importance they place on independence and work life balance, as well as informality, flexibility, technological adaptability, and the focus on education. Most Gen Xers are highly educated. I didn't quite comprehend all of this or connect the dots, so to speak, but I did quit from a relatively stable work environment and from a predictable career growth trajectory to start off anew. And the key factors driving me were independence and work life balance. But bottom line, it all links up with the Maverick formula. As we start a new year, let's do a quick revisit of the formula. Three core elements: 1. Go with your gut, 2. Be true, and 3. Fall forward. And of course, underpinning these is the importance of mindfulness. Going with your gut means to first listen to your gut, hear your gut, and for that one needs to practice mindfulness. Do listen to some of the earlier episodes of the podcast to learn more and get some tips if you haven't already done so or are a new listener to my podcast. So, as I leave you all today to enjoy the start of another year, sharing the three C's approach that for me has always worked, particularly for these big shifts in our lives. So, what are the three C's and how do they influence us? Well, the first one is cash. Big driver to take up a new job or stay in the existing one. The second C is community, which is our immediate family and extended family and friends. We stay on in a job or change to a new one based on our community needs and expectations. And the final and third C is career. This one is about our own career, our comfort zones, our deliberate choices to enhance our career, and of course, why we stay in jobs or seek new opportunities. A very important one, as regardless of whether we are Gen X or Gen Y or Gen Z, we all want to move forward and grow professionally, plus have meaningful contributions and lasting impact on the world with whatever we do. So, to all those starting anew, best wishes. You've already taken the big leap forward. Now just keep going forward. And for those thinking about it, well, hope the three C's approach will strike a chord. I'm sure as we reflect back on 2022 in 12 calendar months or 365 days, we will call it the year of new beginnings. Or, like the Great Resignation, the Great Reshuffle, it will be the Great Beginnings. On that upbeat note, let me once again express my thanks for your love and support to the Ordinary Maverick podcast. Do continue listening, and if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please do so, and you will not miss another episode. Do keep writing your comments and sharing your feedback at theordinarymaverick@gmail.com. And follow me on Instagram, hashtag theordinarymaverick. I love hearing from you. This is Ajay signing off and wishing you have an amazing day and a super amazing year. Keep well, stay safe. Credits. This podcast series was put together as a team effort from the Bhardwaj family. Concept, design, title, researchers and reviewers: Ajay, Sanjana, Avantika and Niharika Bhardwaj. Script, Sanjana. Cover design, Niharika. All rights reserved.